Hey, Jess. Hey, Jess.
Hi, I was just gonna ask if you could hear me.
Let me. Okay, talk again.
Hi, how are you?
Huh.
Can you not hear me?
No, I can. It's just not through my AirPods.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
So it's not me.
Oh well. Okay, so where are you headed to?
We're taking the boys to a swim class.
Oh, cute. Oh, that's fun.
Ethan's
Are they both in the back seat?
One, so yeah.
Let me see them. Or
no, Zach's driving. I'm not
driving. Okay, they have headphones on.
Yeah. Which is better that way because it's the only way that I'll be able to. Yeah. It's Easton's first one, so wish us luck because he's like a baby.
Golly, that's freaking hilarious. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that okay, so one of our girls' grandmas passed away and Rachel may not be able to pop on. Okay, so it's recording. And I can just share this. So one of the things that I wanted to start off with was actually acknowledging Rachel and you, Jess. But for Rachel, I just feel like she's been doing a really, like, putting in effort to be in the CEO Slack channel and like post little stuff like she did the other day. It may have even been yesterday, I can't remember, on how one of our girls is really, really struggling right now. And just sharing stuff like that for the other students to see is so important, and sharing it in the CEO channel is super important rather than sharing it in the PIP channel. I mean, both is good, but I think it's more important for our CEO students to see stuff like that. But even more than that, I can tell that she's putting in an effort to keep the engagement and everything going. And Jess, you're just always on top of being so glued in and really putting in that effort, which I'm just so damn thankful for, because sometimes I feel like I have so much going on that I just want to check out, but I can't check out because I have like 15 things that I'm responsible for. And I look at what you're doing and I'm like, well, she has as many things that she's responsible for, and she's got 2 little boys that are wild little Hulkamanias. So if she can do it, then I can definitely do it. And you're just it's your discipline or something like that, but you do a really, really, really good job, Jess, and you deserve a lot of acknowledgement for that. And then the last thing is, I was going to post this. I was like, I'll just tell them this on the call, where your loom about Nay, like, that was just so, so good. And for us to be really mindful that we have a responsibility here. And I even want to send her a private message. I just love that honest, I love it that she wrote you. It says a lot about her character. And then I really like how you just brought all of us into awareness of that. And I have been, we're obviously redoing Rich Life Hairstylist right now. So I'm putting a lot of effort into that and finishing up my salon website. But then again, there is a component of it also where I have been vacationing, so I've been a little bit more checked out just because I have been vacationing. So just so all of you guys know that. And I wanted to apologize if I seem a little bit MIA. I have these 2 big projects going on, and plus, since it's July, I'm kind of enjoying myself. However, I need to create more time to be in CEO Slack, because without being a student, I've been a little bit relaxed with that. But just so you guys know, I need to show up better for you all and for the students. And I just wanted to acknowledge that for a second. So anybody have anything to say or add to that?
You deserve it.
Just thank you.
You're welcome, Jess, and thank you, Jen.
And I agree.
I got both of those. So the rest of the time, because these are only 30 minutes, I just want to spend time on two things. First thing is focusing on the 3 salons that we have in, it's 3, right? Pretty much 4, because Roar is still in there. And honestly, so is Abby. They just start kind of getting checked out because it's towards the end of their thing. They've already consumed all of the lessons, but that doesn't mean that they're not a part of it still. But then we've got Lavish, Tony and Guy, and then Bellamore. And I want to just create time to talk about, is there anything that we all need to be in awareness of when it comes to these students and what we could currently be supporting them on? So that's the one thing that I want to shed light on. The other thing, and this is something that we tried to figure out, but there's been way too many other things that we're implementing in the new RLH. But one of them was, and actually Danny brought this to our attention, is how do we establish relationships, all the professors establish relationships with all of the students, and it not just be so heavily reliant on one student. Like, I think about my mentorship program that I did for a year, the one that I paid $100,000 for. We had our girl that led us through the course, but then, and maybe it's because we haven't identified any of us as experts, maybe that's why, but we had specific people. I had my salesperson, Allison, she taught us sales. I had our course person, Frank. He taught us how to design courses, how to price them out. We had our leadership person that helped us with leadership, and that was Zion, like the whole leader of the company. We had operations, which was Mary Cecilia. So it's like, we had our finances person. We felt a connection with Elizabeth to go to her with certain things. That was the girl, that was like who we are as a professor to our people. But then we had really good relationships with all the other people in there too. And for me, it really wasn't one person over another because I really utilized all of them. So that way a professor doesn't feel like all of the weight is on their shoulders with their salon. But even more importantly than that, the salon feels really supported and gets all of our geniuses. So, and that might not be something that we can answer today, but just so you guys know, I think that that's important to have that in the course. Let's start off with the 3 salons, and if there's anything that we need to communicate based on them needing help or how we can support.
That's how OCA was too. So you had like a lead coach or a head coach, an accountability coach. Like everybody was kind of divided that way, and that way you did know kind of who to tag if you were posting something in Slack and you had a question about something specific.
Yeah, that gives me some ideas, because in ours there was different Slack channels, and they really minimized. They were changing Slack channels all the time, trying to figure out what worked best. But they would, like, one person would really kind of lead the Slack channel based on their expertise, but everyone was in that Slack channel, all the other admins, and tons of people would still answer. But then the main person, like the main teacher, if they had to throw something in there, they would. But everybody kind of knew to go into different channels. That just needs to be something that we think about. Erin, maybe we can start with you, because I know that you're the last person that had talked about Lavish. And if you're, I saw your thing that your daughter cut herself. So we can wait for you, or if you're good right now to share.
No, I'm good. I'm just administering first aid, but I can talk at the same time. So you want to know about Lavish?
Just if there's anything that we can help with or get your thoughts on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really know what to do with her right now, because they haven't touched any tasks from week 1. And on Monday, I asked her to, she got on a call with Professor Rachel for like 45 minutes because she was confused about the tech. And then she got off the call with Rachel and then reached out to me immediately and said that she didn't understand Asana still. So I asked her to make me a Loom and show me exactly where she was getting stuck, because she keeps being able to pull professors onto the phone. And I mean, not that we're not here to help them, but at some point, like, she's going to have to start acclimating to the way that we do stuff. Well, that was the same day that the governor shut them down. So she didn't do that. They haven't done any tasks. I reached out a few times, and I'm sure that you guys saw it was like crickets. And then we made a phone appointment for Saturday, and she didn't show up. And so I messaged her and said, you know, I tried to call you, but I'm behind the chair all day tomorrow, and I can talk tonight or on Monday. And then she slacked last night and said that she had just put her phone down and forgot about our call. So at this point, like, I want to help her. I want to show up for her. I know they're like behind now, and now she doesn't know the tech, and she's overwhelmed, and I don't want to be like, my hard ass wants to come out right now, and I just don't know if that is the best course of action. You know what I mean? Because I kind of want to be like, look, you know, when you make a commitment, you're making a commitment not only to me, but to yourself. And you're not in this. I know that you have a lot going on, but we, you know, this is how it's going to get better, you know?
Jen, what would you say to
So
Erin?
I would love any guidance that you guys have would be helpful.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. I think she needs a tough conversation. Definitely. We need to see like why she's buffering, and she's just going to have to push through it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like, if you look at this, like, this is one of your girls, like any of us, like any of our girls on our team, you know, if you like filmed her a Loom, and even if the Loom was sent privately, just so nobody else on her team saw it, but were you able to go over, and I know that their orientation call was a shit show, but were you able to go over that one doc, like the creed?
We were right in there when they lost internet, and then she called me on the phone from that point on. So and she wasn't even paying attention to me anymore. She was dealing with the power being off.
So I would get on a call with her and pull that doc up and go over it with her. And this is where you're gonna have to stand for her. And this is where it might just get a little bit uncomfortable for you, because she's a grown-ass woman and she's not one of the girls in your salon, and this is another salon owner, but you're gonna have to stand for her when she doesn't want to stand for herself. And really just, you know, and this is a way where you want to ask as many questions as possible, but then you're going to have to drill in some statements there also, like, is this really what you want? Because there was a time when you signed up for this that you want so much about your salon to change. And then cast her vision for her. I'm not even really for sure what her vision is. She probably isn't either, but they do extensions. You want to be super successful selling extensions. Do you want to be in a place, Erica, where you can be doing $90,000 a month? Do you want to do that with a team that you've cultivated and you know they're committed and they don't want to go off and start their own salon? Because I know that's a scary thing, because she keeps losing people. If that's really what you want, if that's what you say you want, it requires for you to show up when you don't want to. And it's kind of like calling out the white elephant, saying exactly what she does when she shuts down. There's going to be times where I'm going to push you and you are going to be so uncomfortable and you're going to want to put your phone down. And you're going to maybe even be mad at me, regret signing up for the program. You're going to think this is too hard and that you don't understand anything. All of that is a lie. If you show up disciplined in a way that I know that you can, because this isn't a skill or a talent, this is just will. How bad do you want something? That's how you need to show up. And this is going to be uncomfortable, and that's good for you. If you really want to be doing the money and have the team and eventually have the freedom, this is what it takes, Erica. And then hopefully she responds to that well. And then I would say, in the last thing, this is my ask to you. When we make a commitment, and this goes for me also, and this is what Professor Sharon taught me, we have to be true to our word. So if we make a commitment to be on a call or to be on time for something, we need to make that happen come hell or high water. And if we don't, we need to renegotiate it before we break our word. So if you can't make a call, I just ask that you let me know at least like 12 hours in advance. That way it's not an hour before and I've blocked out time for it and I don't have to rearrange my entire schedule for the day. But I need you to be committed to showing yourself respect and to showing me respect. Can you do that? And Erin, I think that when you're thinking like super confidently, there's no one that can execute that conversation better than you. I really believe that. And we'll just see how she shows up, man. I mean, this is going to be up in the air. Like some people just don't allow themselves to sit in the uncomfort before they just give up. And I hope that's not her. Because then it's like
that's what I'm nervous. Like I'll tell you, Heather, I feel committed to you and the program, and I'm scared. I'm scared to push too hard because that's the vibe that I'm getting from her. But I'm grateful to hear you say all that stuff, because if she's not gonna come in and do it, then there's just really no point. You know, I mean.
Well, and I want to say too that since I had plenty of time on calls with her, that I 100% back you up. And if you need even like to set up a call and have me on a call with you, like not that you need the support, but I'm just saying for like extra support, I'm willing to do that. And I think as far as her getting into her tasks, like she's gonna feel overwhelmed. And I think if you just lay it to her, like, let's focus on one thing, like what's one thing that you're gonna get done this week and when is your by when date, and let's just focus on that so she doesn't feel overwhelmed. And even though this is a different course than RLH, but Laura Wheat had a problem with one of her students, Cassie. She posted about it in RLH student support or whatever that channel is called, and she posted her loom to her girl who was like not doing her work and she was not in. And I think if you watch her loom, because it was really good, and even though it may not correlate exactly, I feel like it would give you like even more of that like confidence boost on sending one to Erica, because the way that Laura laid it out was just really good, and it was inspiring to where we know we're going to come across this again. You're in it right now. And I feel like even just listening to her, it may be helpful as well.
I think that's awesome. And I like the idea of sending her a loom before we schedule a call, because I've already tried to schedule a call and she blew me off. So now I got to lay it down first so that she knows what my expectation is coming into that call.
And then you can see when she watches the loom. I love that about loom. You can see when she watches it. And then
she hasn't watched any of my looms that I've made.
What'd you say?
She hasn't watched any. I've made them like 3 looms on Monday because they had such a shaky orientation call, and she hasn't watched any of them. Maggie did.
That's what I was gonna say is Jess said get them to commit to like one thing. Get Maggie involved. If she's gonna do this, maybe Maggie can help. But then at the same time, it's like, and you wonder why people are leaving. You're not being a leader. Come on now. And then I think too, like when we say push really hard, it definitely is about pushing them hard, but it's also about calling out the thoughts that they have when they're wanting to back up. Like, cause then it makes them think about it completely differently. When you're saying things like, you're not going to want to do this. You're going to want to put your phone down because that's what's easiest. And you're going to tell yourself that you're overwhelmed and you can't right now. That is a lie, Erica. And how we show up in times where we're really uncomfortable and we're really overwhelmed predict what our lives are going to look like in 3 months. What do you want that to look like? So let's just take that route with her and then see what happens. And then we'll just go from there. And if whatever we have to do after we've put in a good amount, then we'll just talk about that when we get to that point.
Okay. Thank you for the support and the backing. It feels better because I just don't want to let you down so badly. You know?
Oh no, I'm not even. I trust you all so much that when you're coming from a place of like love and you really know what needs to be done, and you're not worried about being politically correct or like, I want to tiptoe, I don't want to be disrespectful of Pip, that is when we're not being authentic. When we're like, this is what really needs to happen. I trust you guys so much that even if we all did it in a different way, that's better than because Jess, me and you have had this conversation before where you're like, how should I approach this? I don't want to be disrespectful to her. I don't want to be disrespectful to Pip because I know I'm representing the company. It's like, when you know what really needs to be done, that's when you're representing us the best. And I wouldn't say that to everybody because I don't feel that way about everybody in the company, yes, but other salon owners, I'd be like, you need to run that by me first because I wouldn't trust them as much as I trust you guys. Jess, is there anything, now Bella Moore does seem to be doing, Nay's just on it, and they seem to be doing really good.
Yeah, it was just that, and at first I on whatever night that was, Thursday night maybe, I was kind of giggling because when she had sent me a text and I was like, okay, I already made it clear to her, so I knew like that all communication was going to be done Slack. So when she wrote, am I still in Slack? I'm like, yeah. And it just like, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I was glad that she was authentic with us, and she really thought that like because she talked about COVID that everybody was upset, and that's why no one was responding. And I was like, oh my God, no. So but no, they're on it. They were actually worried that they were behind, which was funny to me because I'm like, oh girl, I did not say this to her, but I'm thinking, I know behind and that is not you. So but no, they're good. They were filling out the company expense report. So the next thing that I'll probably just need a little bit of support in is they have Forest. I was able to get the app on my phone, and
The movie is over.
okay. Our movie's over. God forbid. I was able to get Forest on there and be able to get their login and stuff. So I'll just need some help, like making sure that I'm running the right reports because I haven't been in Forest yet.
I can help you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's it. So they're filling out their company expense report, and I want to probably start by like maybe Friday or something, start running their numbers a little bit to see. Don't forget your bag. To start looking at like their pricing and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And then we only have like 7 minutes left. What are your all's thoughts? Any just the first ideas that come to you all when it comes to us building relationships with all the students? Like Jess, you already shared about OCA, and I'm even thinking about, and I need to create time to do this week because I don't have anything planned for right after this call because I have Blackboard. What we talked about our last professor call with the students, like make it not just the owners, but making sure that the leadership, is really involved, and that all of us are really connecting with the leadership and not just the owners. Is there any?
I think that I think that Professor Rachel has done a really, really, I don't know why I just called her that, like Professor Rachel, like we don't know who I'm talking about, but like she's done a really good job. Or even I've noticed like she'll come into like Bella Moore's and like comment on something, and that made me really think that, because at first I don't know why, but and it's just a story that I'm telling myself, but I feel sometimes uncomfortable like going into like Roars and like commenting on something like, where is she coming from and why is she in our channel, even though I know that's not true. But I don't want it to seem random. I want it to seem authentic. And so, but Rachel does a really good job at that. And she just made me realize that I think we all need to be like that more. Like even when Jen did it too, where it might have been when Bella Moore started, she came into their channel and she wrote like, hi, I'm Professor Jen. Like, I'm really good at this if you need me. And I liked that a lot, because I think that if we make that initial connection, even in their private Slack channel, then I don't feel so weird popping in week 10 being like, yo, how are things going? Like,
Huh. Yep. So a couple things. First, is, and I get why you don't want to do that, because there's even sometimes when I go to post in a channel, and honestly, every time I've done this, there's something that I don't know. And when I've said something, the professor writes me in pips. This has happened with Aaron and with Rachel. And they're like, oh, the reason it's like that is because X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's just me totally overstepping my boundaries and not checking in with the professor first. But if it's other little things that you know that they're dealing with, like Rachel did a really good job after the Blackboard last week communicating with everyone on what went down on the Blackboard. That was great. And then, so telling yourself, definitely get in other people's channels. I want you all to look at this like, if this was your company, like if you were in control of CEO, how would you show up? Because I'm not afraid to get in people's channels, although there is times, and every time I've not listened to myself, when I have asked about something specific, there's always something that I should have known before I've asked. Like that's happened 100% of the time that I've done this. But if it's something just like checking in or saying, hey, I just want you to think of it like you're in charge of this thing, because then you won't look at it like that anymore. Then the second thing is, if we all really did have an expertise, like Jess, yours would totally be productivity and getting shit done. Jen, yours can absolutely be numbers. Aaron, I'm not really for sure what yours is, because you are really, really good at number. Like you can really break down numbers, but you're also really, really good with conversations, like leadership conversations. So, but it's like really nailing down what that is. And then in our Slack and CEO, for your profile, like when somebody hovers over your name, you can have a description of what you're really great at. That way people know, and it's easy for them to remember rather than going up and looking at a post. So I think that's something that before we did that, like updated those Slack profiles, that we got really clear between all of us what we could say. That way we were all really different and hitting on different topics. How does that sound?
Yeah,
Like
I
it.
agree.
Okay, when we get off of here, I'm going to make myself a little list just for execution of us identifying like what we could really be of use for people, updating our Slack profiles, figuring out a way that we're making connections with everyone. And this would probably be something that would be updated in the SOP.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing that I'm going to say is going to be really, really important. Because I'm getting to the point now where as soon as we're finished with RLH, I'm going to go back to CEO, and specifically the CEO SOP that you guys work off of every week. Because right now I know that it's outdated. Some lessons have been switched. Anytime that I mess with that SOP, for any of the current students that we have, I have to go in there and change all of that stuff in those descriptions. So just as you're going through an SOP, maybe not right now, like I can let you all know when I start working on the template that we make copies of. When you all are going through your all's salon SOP, if you just favorited the template SOP and just checked that like each week to make sure that it was the same thing as the one that you're going through with that salon, like the description was the same. That way you're giving updated information. Does that make sense? Because that can be kind of confusing that way, I'm having to do this right now with RLH. I'm having to make sure that I go off of the template because my SOP is currently inaccurate that I'm working off of. That way I don't have to change all the other ones and you guys won't be confused. You'll just have to work off that one until it's solid. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have anything they want to communicate, anything to bring to our attention?
No,
I mean, when it's time to go over all that stuff, like going through RLCO or whatever, I can help you with whatever with that.
Okay. Awesome. Jen, were you going to say anything?
if have y'all checked on your salons, all the Januaries? See where they're at with everything. Like just checked in with them, like Diane's doing her taps and caps for the first time and just making sure they're all okay, just so that we stay.
That's such a free, I think about this probably 4 times a week. until we set up this membership, which my goal is in November, having something to where we are connecting with them. Like I updated the caps and taps, that little spreadsheet. I sent that spreadsheet to all of them and said, y'all need to make sure that you do this immediately. It's way better. It's easier to understand. Several of them wrote me back and were like, oh, Diane was one of them. This is so good. Thank you so much for doing this for us. But yeah, just trying to check in with some of them, making sure that they're okay. And especially we want to keep a connection with them. That way they enroll for our membership. And it's just so much, like I hate it that we're not in communication with them. It's a huge negative about the program. It's like, it sucks. Like now they're just out of our lives and there's no communication at all. I don't want it to be that way.
You guys might be surprised by this, but I reached out to Christina Kirky and I didn't hear back from her.
She was so not like that in her
seriously,
sales call either.
They never implemented TP pricing. I went into, after they were done with their course, I went into their Vagaro to check to see like how I could reach out to them and support them after it was over. And no, so then we talked about it on her orientation call, because it took us a while to get an orientation call. I called them out on it, asked them how I could help them. She said that it was super confusing for her staff, and I was like, okay, well, let me know how I can help you. Even if it's me getting on a call with your whole entire team, I'm willing to do that because this is so important. And reached out to her again to follow through, and crickets. So, I mean.
Well, can't do anything about that now. But yeah, Jen, that's good. I'll reach out. Me and Callie have exchanged some emails, but I'm going to make a note for myself to reach out to her to see how they're doing.
I want to just make sure that I'm okay with Gray and Graham. Like I treat their last week as week 16, right? I mean, they're kind of quiet right now, but Abby has COVID. So I'm just sort of, yeah, she got diagnosed, I think, last week, and I checked in with her and I haven't heard anything. So I'm about to check in with Heather. Mm-hmm.
No, they've done amazing. Like,
yeah, they've done it all, but
yeah.
I don't want to like, there's like this little lull time between when they're actually supposed to be done and when they're done. And I don't want to like lose them because that last week is important. It's where we get where we get what we need. So.
Yep. And Heather, I think if you connect with Heather will follow through. She's been awesome.
Yeah. I don't want to get all over Abby right now. If she's not feeling well, I already reached out. She didn't reach back and she normally does. So I'm going to reach out to Heather this week.
Yes.
I think she finally got her negative test on Saturday.
What's that?
Abby got a negative. She finally got.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, good.
Because we communicate a good bit. She's down from us. Or not down the street, but down the road. But yeah, I think
know that.
Yeah.
Abby and I went to beauty school together.
Yeah. It must have been a really good beauty school.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, we carpooled together for a year.
Okay, so she's got a negative test. So, okay, cool. Then I can bother her a little bit more now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, girl, you're supposed to be retired from behind the chair anyway. What you doing here? Take this as a vacation.
Good.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much. If you need anything, let me know in Slack.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, bye. See you later.